Hi, it's Demi Nørgaard. So today I'm coming to you with a new foundation review and wear test. I was so excited to see this Technic Foundation Balm at my local grocery store. I did not know that this was available in Denmark. I was considering ordering it from Technic's website, but since Technic is based in the UK, I would have to pay customs on it. And I didn't want to do that, so I was so happy when I saw it in store. So this is Technic's newest foundation. It's called the Foundation Balm. It's a cream foundation. It retails for £5 and it comes in 5 shades. We will talk about that in the video. So I will go over all the claims, I will go over all the details in the video, and I will of course do a demo and a wear test. I'm wearing it right now, so we shall see how it works. I have done a ton of other Technic foundation reviews. I will link them up in the corner, either here or here. So yeah, let's just get into it. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And now without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to tie my hair out of the way and I will just deal with it later. This is the foundation. This is what it looks like. It is kind of cheap packaging. It's just very flimsy feeling plastic, but I think it does look nice. If you're really into aesthetics, as a lot of people are these days, and if you're really into like the minimal, neutral aesthetic, then I think you will like the packaging. At least you will like the look of it. Because as I said, when you actually touch it, when you have it in your hand, you can tell it's just like cheap plastic. It's not that secure either. Like the lid feels a little bit wobbly. But if you're just looking at it without touching it, it does look pretty nice, I think. I think Technic's makeup actually often looks really sleek, especially considering it's an affordable brand. A lot of other low-cost drugstore brands, they will have very like colorful packaging, sometimes like a little bit childish packaging, or at least very like on theme packaging. And Technic just always keeps it really minimal. So if you're really into packaging and you're really into the minimalistic style and you're on a budget, I think Technic is right up your alley. But of course, the packaging matters little if the product is not good. So let's get to trying this out. I'm going to use a little bit of primer first, since I always prime before my foundations. And since this is a Technic foundation, I'm going to use a Technic primer. This is just a smoothing primer. It's a clear, like silicone-y feeling primer. So it's going to fill out my pores and just even out the skin texture. And of course I did do all my skincare beforehand. So this is what the foundation looks like up close. As you can see, I have worn it one time before. It went so-so, but I was only wearing it for a few hours, so I'm really going to test it out today. So I'm going to just spread it on with an e.l.f. concealer brush and then blend it out with a beauty blender. And I wear the color Oatmilk, which is the lightest color. This foundation only comes in 5 different colors. Technic is notorious for their very limited shade range. I think most of the other foundations come in 6 different colors. This one only comes in 5. It is atrocious to only have a foundation come in 5 different colors in 2023. And as I said, this is the lightest one. It's not a bad skin tone match for me, but it is very yellow toned. Their deepest color is called Rich Cocoa, which does look pretty dark, but of course 5 different colors is just too little. We need more shades and definitely more undertones. But with that being said, I think I should be able to make this color work for me. So I'm blending it out with my W7 sponge. It blends out quite easily, and it claims to be long wear, full coverage, and water resistant. And also that it leaves the skin feeling hydrated and smooth. I'm definitely loving how easy it is to blend out. I did let it sit on my skin for a minute, and it's not difficult to blend out whatsoever. However, I don't know about like the full coverage claim. This does not look full coverage to me. It looks medium coverage. And as you saw, I was not applying like a tiny amount. I was applying a good amount of product, but I still definitely have my own skin showing through. And as you can see, it's a pretty good skin tone match. Maybe a little bit light for me, but definitely not too bad. So that is one layer. What do we think? So far, I definitely do not think it's full coverage as it claims. I'm going to apply a second layer and see if we can get it to full coverage. but in one application it's not full coverage. Whether it's water resistant and long wear, I don't know yet. I will have to test that out. I do think it is smooth. It looks really smooth across the skin. Of course, I also used a smoothing primer underneath it, but even so, it looks smooth. It doesn't look cakey. It doesn't sit in the pores weirdly. And as far as my skin feeling hydrated, I think it feels hydrated. It doesn't feel matte and like dry whatsoever, but it doesn't feel overly hydrated either, which is fine by me because I do have oily skin. And you guys, I'm going to pick up the product and I'm already hitting pan. Can you tell? I'm hitting pan. And it's only my second time wearing this foundation. It says on here that you get 8.5 grams, which sounds like a decent amount. I checked with like my other stick foundations and such, and that seems to be like okay, maybe a little on the low side, but not like an extremely little amount of product. But I'm already freaking hitting pan. So that's definitely disappointing because, as I said, I've worn this one other time and this is not the kind of foundation, as you could see, this is not the kind of foundation where a little bit goes a long way. You know, here I am doing my second layer. So yeah, that's disappointing. But let's try and blend out this second layer and see how it looks. I feel like it's definitely building up and giving me more coverage. I think we're getting to the full coverage place and it does not feel nor look heavy. And it also doesn't look super duper like oily or like dewy. I was kind of afraid that it would do that because it is a very like emollient balm in the pan. And sometimes when you have that kind of formula, when you start to build it up, it just cannot build up. It just gets like super thick. And especially since I have oily skin, it just doesn't work. It just is like a big mess on my skin. But the finish is actually really nice. It's not matte, but it's not like overly glowy either. Okay, looking at it up close, I must admit it looks good. It does look really good. The coverage is really nice. I feel like we definitely got to the full coverage place by doing the second layer. The color is a little off, but it's not too bad considering there are only 5 shades, and it actually looks really beautiful on the skin up close. I will show you. It doesn't look cakey. The finish is just really nice. So here we are up close and personal. So my foundation will typically look cakey around the nose area, but it actually looks really, really good. And I just really like the finish. Yeah, I just think it looks beautiful. Okay, so the finish is better than I thought. As I said, it looks very emollient in the packaging, but the finish on the skin is pretty nice. Now, I am a little bit afraid that if I don't set this, it's the kind of thing that will wipe away pretty quickly. So let me just try and just like tap my hand on the foundation and see how it goes. Yeah, so it definitely removes some product. So as you can see, right there was my finger and you can see it removed a lot of the product. So it definitely doesn't set down. So I will have to set this with powder all over because my oily skin is just going to make this disappear if I do not. So this is the result so far. I will go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and I will come back to show you how it looks like once I've set it. Okay, actually I changed my mind. I'm just going to show you how my concealer blends out on top of this foundation. So I'm using my Technic concealers. So let's just go ahead and see how this goes. Okay. Okay. Not terrible. Sometimes foundations that don't set so well, once you go in with your concealer can kind of take away the foundation. But it does not look like that is happening with this foundation, so that's really good. My concealer is just blending out nicely. So yeah, product seems to be blending just fine on top of the foundation, so no complaints there. I just wanted to do it on camera with you guys so we could check out if that would be an issue or not, but it doesn't seem like it. Okay, so this is my full face of makeup done. So I applied cream blush, I powdered my entire face, I did a little bit of bronzer, no setting spray, and no highlight. Then of course I did a little eye, I did a little lip, and this is what the face is looking like. So when I finished dabbing out my concealer, it was about 2 o'clock. Now it's 3 o'clock and I think it looks great. It really does look good. I did get it to that full coverage place and it definitely looks smooth. My concealer blended out really nicely on top. The same did the cream blush and the bronzer. And the powder didn't disturb the foundation whatsoever. It just mattified my face. It also doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel either super hydrated or super dry. So as far as the claims go, I think it can get to that full coverage place, but if you're expecting it in the first round, you will be disappointed. So I think full coverage is only halfway through, because you do need the 2 layers and you do need to use quite a bit of product. As far as long wear and water resistant, again, we will have to see about that. And feeling hydrated, I think that is also halfway through. I don't think my skin feels overly hydrated, but it definitely doesn't feel dry either. And as far as it being smooth, I think that's totally true. It looks really, really smooth. And of course, I am wearing the smoothing primer underneath, but this is just like a regular primer. I don't find this to be sensational. So if the foundation is not good, this is not going to save the foundation. So all in all, I'm very pleased with the finished result, with the finished look. But I must say I'm heavily disappointed that I already hit pan. As I said, it's my second time using this foundation, and even though I did apply a good amount of product, it is still ridiculous to hit pan on the second go around. And of course, as we mentioned, the shade range is preposterous. So I think this foundation has pros and cons, definitely, but I'm definitely going to wear it throughout the day and see how it looks after some wear. So I'm holding off on my final judgment until then. So this is the foundation up close and personal. It does look pretty good. It looks good around the nose, it looks good around my acne scars. I don't mind at all how it's looking up close. It doesn't emphasize the hairs on my face. It doesn't emphasize the texture. So yeah, I'll be back in a few hours and we shall see how it's looking, how it's holding up. Okay, so I'm back. It is now just after 11 o'clock. And I believe when I left you, it was about 3 o'clock. So the foundation has been on for over 8 hours. And I am about to wash off my makeup and go to sleep. But of course, we're going to do the check-in with the wear test first. So this is what 8 hours of wear looks like. I have not touched up whatsoever. And I think it still looks really good. For this to be 8 hours of wear with no touch-ups, it looks really good. I am getting a bit oily on my chin and around the nose. And maybe a little bit on the forehead. But where I get the most oily is definitely my chin and the nose. And you can see the oils coming through there. But it's not bad. It's not bad whatsoever. So for the claim that it's long wearing, I do think that's true. I do also think that it's true that it's water resistant. So let me tell you my final thoughts on this Technic foundation. I think this is a so-so product. I think the first time I wore it, I only wore 1 layer. And I was not so impressed with how it was looking. I think I definitely like it better this time around where I have built it up. But I definitely think you need too much product to build it up to the full coverage claim. Especially considering you get so little product and I've already hit pan. I cannot really get over the fact that I've already hit pan. Like if you use this every day, you would literally go through it in less than a month. So I'm very disappointed that you don't get more product, because the formula is actually pretty good. I like how it builds. I like how it looks after so many hours of wear. I like how it feels on the skin. I like the texture it gives me. But hitting pan the second time you use it is just not okay. Also, the shade range is not okay. As you can see, I've made it work. This color from my skin, but it was definitely a little bit off, and it only comes in 5 freaking colors. I do think nowadays there might be like an overload of different shades in concealers and foundations. Like I just read that Ariana Grande's beauty brand is coming out with a foundation in 60 different colors. And 60 different colors is a lot. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but sometimes I feel like when this shade range is so extensive, it can be hard to find your right shade. You get overwhelmed. And sometimes it can be difficult to get like the right shade and the right undertone. I don't always think that these makeup brands, that their shade selection, it makes sense. It's not so orderly. And this is kind of revealing my age, but that's why I always liked MAC, because they had a really easy to figure out system. You know, you had your warm undertone, you had your cool undertone, and then you have your different colors ranging from really light to really dark. But nowadays it's like almost too much. But with that being said, having a foundation only come out in 5 different colors is too little. Sure, it can work for a few people, but how are you really going to recommend a foundation that only comes in 5 shades? So for those 2 reasons, the shade range and hitting pan, I cannot recommend this foundation, even though I liked it otherwise. I will definitely continue to use it. And I mean, with this little product, I will use it up pretty quickly. But I would not repurchase it just because the undertone is not quite right for me. So yeah, that is my foundation review of the Technic Foundation Balm. Let me know what you guys think down below. I will go ahead and wash off this makeup now and go to bed. So I will see you guys next time. So take care and bye-bye. No. Original. Yeah.